So when you're making beats, I want you to become more conscious of what's influencing the decisions that you're making. Are you being influenced by trying to make your beats sound complex and impressive? Are you creating another melody just because you kind of feel like it? Or are you thinking about an artist being on the beat and complimenting them and their vocal? It really needs to be the latter, because that's how you're going to create beats that artists are going to want to buy. I'd highly recommend pulling the charts up on Spotify and listening through the songs and basically study the instrumentals. Study what instruments and sounds are being used and try a similar thing. Study the drums, which by the way in a lot of these big songs are super simple and just driving the song, being the groove because of their simplicity, but also just because they're so clean. The sound selection and the way they're mixed is a huge factor, and that's a huge factor to creating beats that artists want to buy. A way I'd highly recommend getting better at making beats that artists want to buy is by picking a song you like and creating a similar beat to that song. Keep referencing the song as you make it and pick sounds like snares, kicks, one-shots, which sound as close as possible to the song that you're referencing, and put them in your own beat. That way you'll start to get better at sound selection in your beats, because you'll start to understand what sounds good, clean and professional. So yeah, sound selection is just huge for creating beats that artists want to buy. I've said this in a previous video, but I'll say it again. Arrangement is huge for creating beats which just sound attractive. You've got to make each section sound really distinct and obvious when it's in that section and when it's changing into the next. For example, create an intro that teases what's to come.
Teasing me, you're not enough.
Often I duplicate the track of a main part in the chorus. That might be a vocal chop or a guitar lead. I'll break it up a bit so that it's not just the same kind of full melody which is in the chorus. Break it up a bit, put a bit of reverb and delay on it maybe, and then transition into the verse so that it's really obvious for the artist. And when it's in the verse, take a lot of instruments out so that when it does hit the chorus, it hits a lot harder and it's just the dynamics change and makes it obvious that this is the chorus. So when you do this sort of arrangement, it is going to really influence and increase the chances of artists buying your beats. Because one, it's easier for them to record to it, and two, it's also just more attractive. It's a better beat because it will suit them better and just create a better song generally, for the reasons I've just said, because the dynamics can change, there's space for the artists, it sounds attractive to them, and you know, they can hear themselves on it. So arrangement is huge. I feel the need to add this in here despite it being a bit of a given really, but what I've kind of heard recently with a couple of beats being sent back to me with my loops in is bass or 808s which aren't in key. It's an absolute must, and as I say, a given that the bass and the 808 has to be in key, because otherwise that's just going to put the artist off straight away. And any melody on top as well. But the most common one is, you know, even if it's just one or two notes in the bass being out of key. When you've created the bass line or, you know, the 808 pattern, just throw it up a couple octaves so that it'll be a lot more obvious in a higher octave whether it's in key or not. But that leads me onto a more general point that the production of the beat has to be cohesive. It all kind of has to mold together. It's almost like a puzzle where different things kind of slot into place and it all kind of fixes together. So don't have multiple melodies on top of each other playing at the same time. When using multiple sounds, have them play melodies at different times. So say you have some chords down and you want to use multiple different plucks or sounds on top to create a top line because you want to make the beat sound more interesting and you're using different sounds to achieve that. That's great. How you need to use these sounds though is to play them at different points. As I say, it's like a puzzle, different pieces fitting in different places. You may have heard before that it's like a question and response. Use one sound as the question, another sound as the answer, so that they're playing at different points, they're not clashing, but they're still definitely making the beat more interesting because they're different sounds, but they're working together. And that's going to make the whole beat more interesting and catchy for the artist. That's the kind of way you want to produce. Remember, you've got to keep the artist in mind the whole time that you're producing. So creating simple melodies which work cohesively together and add to the beat is the way to do it. Also, when you make a lot of beats in a niche, you're going to obviously get really good at that type of music, which is going to make you more likely to sell. But also, it will be more convincing to artists who come across your beat store or your beat page and see that you've made multiple beats or maybe loads of beats in that specific niche. They're going to trust you more because they can see that you're experienced in that field, in that type of music. So they're going to be more convinced. Also, people underestimate what making beats in a niche can do for your production ability as a whole. While it can feel restricting making type beats in a specific niche, and trust me, I know what that feels like, you can transition to another type of music or niche if you want to, probably a lot easier than what you may think, because making beats in a niche can help you get things understood in your head a lot quicker, a lot easier, and can kind of yeah, get the basics down and make sure you understand what you need to understand a lot better. If you'd like me to do a part 2 of how to create beats which artists want to buy, then please comment below and I'll kind of extend this video and make a part 2. Also, feel free to join the producer Discord, first link in the description. It's a really cool place to be. It's kind of a community where there are other producers in a similar position wanting to make music their full-time income or already have. So that's a really cool place to be. And I'll see you in the next video.